That was perfect timing. I know how to do 3 buttons at once.
I'm lucky to get one button going at once.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I was like, how do I turn this off? Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining Atomics on a Friday. This is like the pre-RSA show, more or less. Pre-RSAC.
Yeah.
All the funness is
definitely
happening
not going
next
to it.
week. Yeah, we're not going to be there.
This is your chance.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Happy Friday, Jose.
Jose, welcome
Exciting.
back. Tuning in from LinkedIn. Look at you being fancy, Jose.
Yeah. Coming in hot.
Pump up those numbers. Ooh. Quick, load up the other socials.
I know. Yes. Let everybody join in, even though we gave everybody 5 minutes. Everybody's pouring in right now. Oh, sweet. It connected us to Twitter, and so it's live on there now. It's fancy.
That's pretty lit. Wait, did you do that automatically, or did it do it automatically for you?
I added us at the top, and it just shipped it.
Shipped it? Right on.
Yep.
All right.
So, yeah. So, this week we there was some cool stuff that dropped this week related to micro emulation plans, and we were going to showcase atomics that we had seen recently through PRs, but we thought these emulation plans were kind of like on the cool side, that we probably should jump into these again. I think it was a couple episodes back now when we had Jamie on where we did micro emulation plans. I think it was APT 29, right?
Yeah, we were on. We ran through that. As more of the adversary emulation plan, so these are a little bit smaller, more bite-sized, but they still fit in to that kind of abstraction of where they're going with micro emulation plans, which is awesome. And then I know we actually shipped Carrie from Atomic Red Team Maintainers shipped a test for named pipes that actually comes directly from the micro emulations. I know you were working on one to get some of these more atomicized. We'll go with that. Yeah. Atomicized to make them work, in the continuous testing validation component, make it easier, work with the executor frameworks that we have. But they're still good to go over. Maybe we'll be able to execute them. But...
Yeah, that's a solid point. I'll try to find where I put that, and we can run it here today. I don't remember what it was, what T number that was.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think everybody knows who we are at this point. That's the exciting part. It's always the awkward. How do we describe ourselves yet again?
Well, first, your title's wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's now Principal Threat Connoisseur. Uh-oh. How about now?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Can anybody else hear Mike? Or is it just me?
Test. Uh-oh. It says it works. How about now?
Yes.
You can hear me now. Okay. Weird.
Yeah. Am I still there?
You're still here. You're live.
Oh. Well, I think my headphones died.
Oh.
So that could be the problem. Who knows? We'll find out.
All right. I'll switch my mic. Okay, someone hears me.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate you.
Okay. Better? Can you still hear me?
Oh, I can. We're good now. We'll make it work.
Okay. Cool. Okay. But yeah, Principal Threat Connoisseur. It's exciting. That happened. And then, yeah. At Splunk, if you didn't know. But yep. Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I too am a principal of things. but not at Splunk. I'm at Red Canary, where I do threat hunting and hunt evil, where we do other things surrounding evil. Oh, we're also both maintainers of Atomic Red Team. That's probably also an important bit. Mike, co-creator. One of these days we'll figure out like how to actually do intros of who we are. I feel like it changes each week, or it gets worse in some weeks and gets better slightly. We should probably just pay somebody to like figure out how to like do these in a short, sweet, and concise manner.
Yep, I know everybody's probably like, "What are these guys talking about? This is ridiculous."
Yeah,
just
no idea what's going
some
on.
atomics. Okay, we're just gonna keep moving. Yeah, I took this from the APT-29 Jamie. What we did with Jamie a couple of months back, slides months ago. But in particular on the right, Jamie had shared a tweet on the 17th, adding that they added some new micro emulation plans, and these sit kind of in the middle here of atomic testing and full emulation. Atomic testing typically is a single technique at a time, and within atomic, a particular technique can have multiple variations, and so it kind of is like running a variation of like accessing LSAS memory. I think we have like I don't know, let's just say 5 different tests under there that kind of all do the same thing. There might just be a different tool or something, or a different method to do it, or variation. And then micro emulation, Paul, what does micro emulation provide us?
Yes, so they are a little bit more compounded between like coupling, potentially like think of it as potentially coupling a couple of atomics, where if you think about how tests actually go in the real world, or when we see from adversary behavior, it's not just a single technique that is done. It's usually bundled with others. So you have, let's say, for example, like W script executing a file, which within there then runs a command to run whoami to output to a file. So within that, you technically have like multiple techniques that are grouped together to achieve an objective. So microemulation is kind of a little bit more than an atomic, but not fully a full emulation plan, which we did with Jamie back in APT-29. So it's kind of like taking the two and kind of breaking them down so you can test a little bit more, I don't want to say efficiently or effectively, but it's a variation. It's kind of in the middle of that, so you can actually still gauge efficacy of detections based on known adversary tradecraft. And of course, full emulation. It's exactly what it probably sounds like.
It's not easy to automate, is what I'm saying. So,
I mean, not easy to potentially do either. Look at what the troubles we have trying to run through the Jamie, but docs are great, but just trying to get those going like as a full-time, it's like a full-time job doing some of these things. Yeah,
it's APT struggles. I think we have a banner for that, which, by the way, we forgot our banner. Oh, it's Red Team Struggles. Yeah. And then the El Camino. Okay. back to, there we go. Yep.
It's top tier.
That's what we do. Okay. Yeah. So the plans on the repo, which we probably should drop the link to the repo.
Yes.
Folks are probably like, I don't even know what's going on. I agree. So there's the link. So this is on the Center for Threat Informed Defense under the Adversary Emulation Library, Micro Emulation Plan, under the source directory. All of these are there, and this is the main README, which shows like each one kind of broken down, which is clean. We're going to attempt to get through 3 of them today, but I think we broke Paul's lab, so we may only get through 1.5. But at least the 1.5 will be pretty cool and mostly informative. And then, let's see where we at next. So next demo. It is the demo that doesn't move.
Well, we can go back and touch on the 3 and just kind of walk through them. I think it's a good one.
I can share my screen and we can actually do it live.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's just see if we're here for live. Do it live. Boom. Okay. Hopefully you see my screen. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm under the adversary M, source directory here. And actually, should we drop back to that README? Might make it a little cleaner. All right.
What are you doing? Your Aurora agent is going wild.
Oh, there is absolutely so much APT. It's it's software supply chain attacks upon software supply chain attacks in this environment.
Just supply chain attack inception.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So first one in our order. I think it's user execution would be the first one out of the 3 that we picked out.
Yes. Yep. So you drop into user execution right here, right in the middle of the screen. They have multiple ones in here, which is really cool. And so like if you wanted to mess with like the ISO type of bypass stuff, it has like the whole build process in here and the zip. And here's the README, but just kind of like quickly showing. But a lot of these are pretty easy to get going. And that's kind of like one nice thing about the micro emulation plans. If you wanted to combine a bunch of things in one, they provide it like in a nice little package for you. So if you wanted to go and test these things outside of like Atomic Red Team, it does make it pretty easy to do. All right. So the .1 package was, I think, the latest one, I think. And thankfully, we dug through this the other day when your range was working. Okay. So this in particular, the package that they provide is a couple of files, I believe, and go back to the main dir here. Within it, I'm trying to remember, this is the one with the HTTP server that you can run locally, right?
Yep.
It has a local server. The idea is that, oh yeah, it's under prereqs somewhere. Is there a prereqs?
Should be resources.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, prereq. Okay, that's if you want to change it. Okay, yeah. So create your HTTP server, let it listen. When you run the package itself, it will drop the one file and it opens it in OneNote. It prompts you to accept that license. And once you click it, you're good to go. And it's the plan itself emulates like the actual like malicious .1 files that were coming in. When you open the one file, it has like, it looks really clean. I wish we had a screenshot. It looks really clean in the fact that like you can see like the click here box and you move it. There's like a batch file behind it, which is really neat. And which is down here at the bottom, tells you how to modify it if you wanted to modify it. So the bat is the embedded file. You can modify that with whatever you want and then, rerun it for your own like testing or simulation, however you want to handle it. But yeah, this one was pretty cool. I wish I had OneNote installed. I would show it. And I think it's the program CS that has the HTTP server piece. I think it's once the batch file runs, it creates a scheduled task, which again, this is a great place to go. If you wanted to modify this, you could add in like just your calc to spawn in the background or something like that. Or yeah, have it schedule the task for calc to run. And then this one just simply just ends, right? I think you just hit the enter and it goes away.
Yep. Yeah, so this one makes it really easy. When you open up the OneNote, there's a giant box that says, like, I forgot explicitly what it says, but basically right behind that is a badge script that is what kicks everything off. So this binary kind of automates getting the OneNote open, and then you click it, and then it actually runs the bash script. In the resources directory in this particular part of the thing is there's a base64 blob that basically tells you where to go change it. If you wanted to, what Mike was saying, go change it. Instead of creating scheduled task, you run calc or a PowerShell command or pull down some payload, right? So you can modify it to what it is. But if you were to take the pre-compiled binaries that the MITRE team gave us and just run it, it just creates a scheduled task, and then it does self-cleanup afterwards. So it'll write a bunch of stuff to disk, and then it cleans itself up. So all pre-packaged. Turns out, in chatting with Jamie, when Mike and I first started digging these, we're like, in the READMEs, they're like, oh yeah, just click the exe and the executable wasn't there. It turns out they actually get stored as a release, which we shared earlier.
Yes.
In chat. And so they are pre-compiled, so you don't have to worry about compiling them, but if they give you the resources to go change and modify and do as you please. So there's the Linux versions as well as the Windows tools already pre-compiled for you, make it really easy, which is very convenient for testing.
Yeah, and I remember correctly, we have a ISO test in here. I can't remember who contributed this. Did we contribute this, or did somebody else? I can't remember.
Mine is the HTML that drops it to disk but doesn't work.
Got it.
I still need to go back and fix.
It's a good thing they don't put names on these.
Yeah, it is probably a really good thing. Definitely not that one.
Yeah, there's definitely a few ISO tests. Yeah. Okay.
That was awesome. HTML smuggling. That's what the test was, not Mark of the Web. That's why. But that's right. So is it that one? I don't remember. Let's see.
Remote payload. There's only
that
one.
Seems about right. Maybe.
That's okay.
That's fine. I don't remember.
We'll download the ISO file. So HTML ISO. Yep. Nice.
Little Stan. Thanks for the code, Stan.
So there's that one. Yeah, let me flip to
OneNote. Still hot. It's the new thing that everybody loves. ISOs are on their way out. Not really. They're kind of coupled together at this point.
Yeah. I wanted to show this. I know I showed you this, but I think it's under the program. So this is the reflective code loading one. I'll run it because this one is actually like nothing much to change out of the box actually. So, but something when I was digging through the source here, I thought this was cool from like an aspect of something you want to modify or play with. Thankfully we get the source. So as you're going through and or testing with the different emulation plans, this line 78 for this one, they give you the MSF Venom command to run. And so this test will run like who are my groups, QW Insta, task list, things like that. But you can modify this to kind of do other commands. And so if you wanted to try different variations within like a reflective loading, it's really handy to be able to have this source and go through and run the different pieces, which I think I have this one pretty easily accessible here. And it runs pretty quick. So I'll just double tap that. Always accept it. And then it just kind of outputs here on the screen all those commands that we had asked it to do.
Nothing like bringing your own shellcode.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, there we go. And there's your reflective loading test. But yeah, I thought that one was pretty cool. And that's a pretty simple one. And I just thought of it now, but like obviously we're kind of running down it. Like, what is this? It involves allocating the executed payloads directly within the memory of the process. So it's running these from within memory and or backed by a file path on disk. And so this one is obviously coming from a compiled binary. And typically, I think as defenders, what we typically see with these is it'll either be loaded through PowerShell right into memory. The different tools that do this, like Donut, there's obviously Cobalt Strike's execute assembly, different things like that. That's kind of how we always see these run, right? And you'll see these processes just kind of like spawn, and like, where do they come from? How did they spawn? And I think in Cobalt Strike, it's been a hot minute, but I think it'll spawn from its sacrificial process that it does.
I think it does a fork and run, if I remember correctly.
Got it. It's been a minute.
Could be wrong.
Yeah. So That's pretty cool. That's interesting. I wish I spent more time on actually going to shows how to do more detection on it today.
One of the things we talk about all the time is, which we're going to jump into with DLL side loading, is no matter what, it has to load libraries. So when you have normal processes and baselining system processes, and then all of a sudden, instead of loading 30 images, it's now loading 300 because you've loaded 20 binaries and reflectively loaded them into memory. Like, why is this have 300 DLLs loaded into it that it normally doesn't load? Like, it's extremely suspicious. And then, of course, all the behavioral aspects around it, network connections, file modifications, etc. And just AMC data. There's tons of different things you can do from a detection standpoint, depending on, again, context of what's occurring and happening.
Yeah, especially the mod load side. Like I feel like they need to dig into that a little bit more. And I think the side loading one kind of segues into that pretty well here. Just kind of like looking. So this particular emulation plan, it offers 2 execution methods. They talk about how it kicks off with like the CTI background of it, how like these are being used, by adversaries, and they're loading up, side loading a DLL into calc within like these ISOs, or this is within the ISO here. So obviously GACBot or whatever it may be, shipping these in. But the micro emulation for it has 2 options. There's a user level side load, and then there's the admin level side load. There's 2 of them in here, which is pretty cool. And it's as simple as just double clicking that executable DLL side loading exe. And Jamie has a demo here. This is just a help piece. I don't know if this is actually running. Oh, I got to click it. But it's as simple as just like, run that. The default is the net PL whiz. And then the other one for the user is going to be character map. And then detection, which is really handy, obviously. It does talk about mod loads. And you probably have noticed like this Aurora thing going crazy down here with debug help and whatnot, just tripping out on side loading. And so I initially, when I started kicking this one, I don't know why I went to this one first. I should have like goofed off on the 12 other ones. But yeah, let me just run it real quick so we all can be on the same level here. Oh yeah, that's right. It's in a different path. I think I got it in here. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, I'm just gonna do the base, and it spawns a bunch of things and it disappears. Aurora triggered saying, hey, potential side load. What does that mean? And so after I ran that, I was like, initially I'm like, what just happened, right? Like this thing just ran without realizing, netpl whiz would be used. That's the default. I was like, okay, like how do I know that this is doing what it's doing? And randomly, I just sat and watched the directory, and I double clicked it, and it writes a bunch of files, and then it cleans up right after. And I saw it write, the DLL it was going to use. And that's the one thing that I don't believe this tells you what DLL it's using. So I hope I'm not like spoiling anything by showing this today, but I was like, what DLL? And so I literally watched the path, and I'm sitting here like, okay, what is it going to load? And so in Splunk, I kind of like drilled down into this a little bit, and I was like, all right, I'm going to find this. And so netpl whiz will load the ds roll DLL. And so it writes it and then it deletes it. And these are all embedded, I believe, in that DLL sideload executable. And then when you run the other one, the car map, it will load, I think it's the get uname DLL. And again, that one's one of those ones where I literally had to watch it. And I ran this one with like a non-privileged user. And this is a shout out to Mauricio for getting that bad blood utility in attack range. Renee Conway running car map, I don't know what you call it. So I did all that, and I was thinking about like why netpl whiz, why character map? And I started thinking about it, and I remember in the past that like completely unrelated to the micro emulation plan, but I remember in the past I had a gist from some amount of time ago, and I shared this with you too, Paul, and it was just like, I remember Matt Graber had shared, I think, this whole thing with me, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. But he had recommended installing this tool called NT Object Manager, and of course I forgot who created this.
Forshaw.
Yes, there it is. And I was like, this is so neat. And there's like tons and tons of different things you can do with NT Object Manager. And of course, I picked probably the weirder ones to look at here. But it's on Git. You can install it, very similar to, you know, just running install module for it. You drop that into the chat so everybody can follow along at home. And I was like, yeah, so what and then in this particular case at the time when I was working with Matt, we were looking at it from the aspect of like UAC bypasses. And for whatever reason, this just hit. I was like, I'm looking for auto elevate, looking for things that just have, you know, auto elevate, you know, require administrator, whatever it may be. So I installed this, I ran this little quick one-liner, and it showed like kind of everything that NetPL Wiz and a bunch of other ones. And the other references that I have in this gist lead to basically the same exact output. And everything's in here. You can, you know, search for NetPL Wiz if I could type, or maybe not today. Okay, maybe it's not on that one. Maybe it's the second one. Killing it today. Oh my gosh. Is that the right one? Let me go back. I thought they were in there, but I am failing. Well, maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. Getting my stories mixed up. Okay. Wow. Okay. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they were in there. But anyway, maybe we just do this live.
Yeah.
It's in somewhere.
Let's go.
It's going to do that. And then that's installed. And just run this for funsies. Random internet stuff. Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
No,
strange. So it's there. And then a bunch of other ones are here too. And obviously if you're running Windows 10, this is Server 2019, you're going to get different results. But so that's there. And so then I started thinking, I know there's a project out there called Hijack Libs, and I went to Hijack Libs, and this project is all about side loading, search order, hijacking, and everything like that. And it's awesome. Like, it's such a great project. I totally forgot that it was out here. So I started digging in, and I started, looking for the DS role DLL, which we found right here that it was loading for NetPL Wiz, and wrong page. So many pages now. So side loading, and then if you scroll down, it tells you the executables that are vulnerable to this DLL for side loading. And then I mentioned auto elevation, which we found with NT Object Manager, and then all these other ones are potentially related and or can be used in the same fashion. And you could drill into each one of these. So like NetPL Wiz, like what other ones, and these might be completely different or not. This is side loading as well for that particular DLL. So there's a lot of like neat little things within this project. And then it was like this morning or yesterday, I think actually yesterday, I was digging through our old blog at Red Canary for DLL search order hijacking here, and what we did at Red Canary at the time in the past. And randomly, when you go down to the appendix here at the end, I thought this was kind of neat. You'll see the PL Wiz in here and a bunch of other ones. Basically, we had said that these had been identified abused at the time. Here you go. See if it finds it. There it is. Move a little bit faster. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Full circle, years in the making. And then,
you know, what's funny is you pass dism.exe when looking for NetPLWiz, and Mandiant has a few good blogs, and also there's a really great white paper from back in the day on DLL side-loading and search order hijacking. And fun fact, dism is a very common one that we've come across many a times. So that's just a fun one that can also be in there if you're looking for common instances of potential side loading or search order hijacking. I'll share a link to one of them.
Sweet, thank you. So yeah, kind of like the simplest form that like I was just digging through, and because the idea, if back on the hijack lib site, it's so powerful because it does give you like the default paths for all of these DLLs. And if whatever product you're using, SIM or whatnot, or using Sysmon or your other tools, for me, for my particular instance, I just said, I know the default path for this is not in System32 or Syswell, and then obviously it's going to catch it. I think there might be more in here. And then what I did, I totally forgot that I actually had written a, can you run this anymore? That's, yeah. Can't get over that. I wrote this apparently like in December on December 31st. That's amazing. I took the Hijack Libs project, I made it a lookup in Splunk, and yeah, it's just a standard lookup, like CSV type lookup thing. We pull up the data here. And yeah, that's all I did. I didn't even put the paths in here because yeah, who does that? I apparently need to fix this.
Paths are important when you're talking about search order hijacking.
Yeah, but it's all here, and I probably need to update this because this project is being updated more than I am apparently. And this is from August. Wow. So yeah, so then I was like, let me just copy and paste that query, toss it in there. But the query had some paths in here, which was cool. And I probably deduped it. I typically dedupe the paths and I'll throw them in there. And so like in this particular case, I ran it for the week. And you'll see, there's like D3D compiler. That's obviously apparently comes with your good old 3CX desktop app. Shout out to 3CX and their supply chain of supply chains. And then a couple other things, right? But obviously, we were looking for DS role. And then I mentioned the other one from Renee Conway, when she was using the -U switch for the user version of this, using the get uname DLL. So obviously, that's in the hijack lib project. And obviously, that's going to pop up. So there's that. And then for funsies, I did a get copy. I just copied another auto elevate binary. System properties advanced, moved it next to the DS role DLL, and it loaded it up as well. So, because I was just curious what else you could do for fun. And yeah, I wrote an atomic as well. I don't know if you got to test that. Did you kick that yet, or had tried it before things broke?
No, I think everything's dead. So
okay, it's all dead.
Oh yeah, it's all dead. I actually don't know how my internet is still running, because if the ESXi server's down, I don't know how DNS is working. So this is quite miraculous.
That's awesome. Let me see if I had it. I had it saved, and it's under Atomic Red Team, obviously. Yeah, right here.
There it is.
It was like 15 something, 1572.004.
Hold on, I can tell you. User execution is, wait, there's too many clicks.
Don't click it. Got it. It's right here.
Perfect.
Cool. Well, that works out. So yeah, I I created, this is probably the worst color scheme to show this in. But yeah, I can't see that, Mike. Good work. I just literally took that DLL Side-loading.exe. I put it into the bin path under DLL Side-loading with some other files that it had come with. And under source, I think I left that alone under source, but everything's in here. And I just wrote the atomic, pretty simple enough. I just said, like, this is what you're looking for. This is what CareMac or, NetPL Wiz will load. If you run CareMap, you'll get UName. It's kind of helping folks. Again, hopefully not like bad spoiler alert moments. Probably should put a banner up for fun. And then allowing, as you're running this, you could do prompt for input args. You can ask it, or you can tell it, you want to use -A, which is the default, or do -U to use character map. And that's going to depend if you're running it as like a standard user or an admin user. Admin will do the netpl wiz. And then if you want to put the DLL side-loading exe somewhere else, you can just change that path or just use the one that comes with. The prereq is literally the dependencies. Obviously, it needs that binary. And then, yeah, and I think I was goofing off with this yesterday too. So I'll just fix this live argument and then save it. You can do PowerShell or command prompt. I think I moved to the command prompt because I was trying to get a different result. And one of these is me. Yep. I even have invoke installed. Oh, I do.
Look at that.
Remember the number? 1574. 1574, 002, show details brief. Boom. That's always my. Oh, wait.
Oh, you gotta specify your path.
Yep. I'm like, where is that again? I don't know. Let's go back here.
Should figure out a way to fix that, because the amount of times I run tests going, where is my test? So
I think it's path.
Yeah, it should be.
I know. Okay. Boom. Comics. So now it'll run from the new location. Yay. Mike, can you please bring that to the top? Like, I can't even see this. And can you get out of this weird directory path? Yes. Here. There's 3 of them. So then, because I'm on a VM and controlling backspace is like hard, I'll just do this, do test number 3. So you can see the pretty print in colors. This is just showing us the prereq command and the actual executor pieces all written out. So if you wanted to see it, either to copy and paste it and ship it downrange, you could do it like that. Or if you're just like, let's just run this thing, just slap in your test number 3 and it does this, it hangs. So I've been trying to figure out how to fix that. I did the command/C tactic, and that's why I was switching between command shell and PowerShell. So I was just trying to see a different way to get it to work, but it just hangs and you have to do a timeout. You could specify the timeout. I think it's just like timeout seconds, but yeah, it just fails. However, it still loads. If you come back in here, it still loads that DS roll DLL. And it may not be there yet, but oh, it's already there. So yeah. And there's the different path, obviously yet another path. And I'm trying to think if I have the password for Renee. I gotta think. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's just do it live. We're here. Everybody's here. Different user. I can't remember her username. Renee_Conway. Oh.
Ooh. Oh, there it is. Money.
Now we're hacking. All right. And I think I put it in temp. Yep. DLL side-loading. So let's do this, Renee. Oh yeah, this one fails too. Could not be located in the DLL. Okay. Hang on.
Maybe. Find out.
Maybe it worked.
Oh, that's interesting. I never ran to that.
Yes.
Look at that.
Got
it. Task failed successfully.
Yep.
Funny, because is that maybe the one that I gave you, the compiled, or is that your compiled version?
This actually, I think, comes direct from the repo still. It didn't come from the downloads, the release binary. Or maybe it does. I don't know. I have no idea where I got it. You like VirusTotal or something.
Probably. I was saying, when I compiled it was, I had no issues. I showed you that it was working. Like, I had no errors. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
So, curious to where you got yours from. This might be.
I'll send you my MD5 and we can compare.
Compare hashes.
Yeah, we supply chained it. Yeah.
You know what a wild
I got it
ride
from a company that's out of business. The miter supply chain.
Savagery. You just imagine the supply chain for running for a test like this. Like, it's backdoored. Everybody's like testing ranges and VMs are just compromised. Like, that's your foothold, and now you got to break out of that. Like, honestly, that'd be like a fun CTF style like game. Like, you pop a VM in like a lab environment, and you got to laterally move into the corporate prod network. I'd be into that.
Yeah. I mean, the D3D compiler and my favorite desktop voice app, right? Like, nobody's talking about it. I'm just saying.
Like, APTs only, Mike. We don't have time for this.
I know. Yes. This is just getting ridiculous. Stop making things up.
Oh, wait, is that code as in like VS code?
Yep.
Is that legit code, or did you rename the binary?
I don't know, man. This is a Wild West-like environment. I would not be surprised if North Korea was laterally moving in it right now.
In the attack range. Not the bad blood repo.
I mean, we have Exchange running right here, right?
Did you kill access to Exchange?
Yeah, there's no publicness in here.
Look, you got to install Papercut right now. That's the new hotness.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's Friday. Papercut needs to drop. We're on it.
That's right.
All right. What else? Is there another one, or did we already like exceed our timing for the day?
We're gonna do data exfil or touch on that one, but I feel like we could go into that one. I don't remember.
Yeah, you can go into it. Data exfil.
I feel like this is a common one that everybody asks for in some capacity. How do you detect data exfil? Like, can my EDR detect data exfil? The answer probably no, or it does it extremely horribly. In my opinion, experience, you kind of need some different tools, right? EDR, if you're just talking about pure EDR like a sysmon, probably not, right? You need to couple a couple components together in order to effectively detect it. It's more or less you're going to need some good network telemetry. And some EDRs just don't give you that good telemetry, right? You're talking bytes in, bytes out, comparison, baselining, where is it going to, where is it coming from? Like, that type of information isn't really EDR specialty. Now, some EDR updates over the past probably 6 months to a year, like, are collecting some better network telemetry in that XDR style, but just network telemetry in general, in my opinion, is probably going to be the better, more higher efficacy source, just because of what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to prove size. But of course, you can look at EDR, like potential staging, collection of the files, moving them around, right? When you have those types of things, like, that's where it comes into play. But then it becomes into that contextual analysis, like, should this user be touching these files? Should they have access to this? Like, should they be moving a bunch of them around, creating them, deleting them, etc.? So you kind of need a couple of things from at least my perspective of trying to answer these types of questions with specific data sources or only having limited access to a single data source. Sorry, that was my
no,
side.
it's excellent. Yeah, because like, and I know like I think everybody goes after like the execution of WinRAR, right? Like, and I think we've seen in reports over time they will bring in their own zip. They'll rename 7-zip, or they'll bring in like those portable apps and
WinRAR, RC
that's
clone,
yeah,
megas, etc.
Yeah, our clones, that's huge. It's big in all the different DFIR reports. But yeah, so it's like, that's kind of like, I know, pretty sure everybody writes content around looking for somebody zipping stuff, but it's like also who's not zipping and unzipping stuff all day. So yeah. And the network side, I always think about this when it comes to the network for data exfil, the Sony hack. And like, but in any of them now, right? Like you're talking the MSI breach, 1.5 terabytes of data rolling out of your environment. And even if they use our clone to ship all that to Mega or whatever, like it just seems like how would a network XDR tool and or appliance not see that voluminous amount of data spiking outbound? But
it's like most modern firewalls, and it's been a minute since it's been in a traditional SOC, but my experience particularly with one firewall is we were able to look at application size, like where it was going, session sizes. Like we were able to do like really granular analysis, and we even created our own like internal DLP like things to detect that, right? Like we were playing around with different packet sizes in and out into different applications, Google Drive, OneDrive, right? What was normal, what was not normal for specific users. And we were able to create like variations and do deviations based on that and throw kind of alerts like, is this normal, right? And so when you're talking about these like 300 gig exports, a terabyte, right? That's a massive amount. Now, like 2 gigs, split that up, that's maybe a little bit harder. And now you have to do like historical analysis, but like a continuous 1 terabyte, did that probably go out the same day? Probably not. So they are probably breaking apart. But again, when you're talking about potentially 250 megs, 350 megs, right? And I know some places will spit out a report of like, hey, this past week, here's your, in outbound for whatever, right? Google Drive, etc. But it is a tough one. I really like this test though, because not only can you run it locally and have like that piping, do some exfil, but you can also host it somewhere else and have and send it over the actual wire from like one endpoint to another, so you can actually look at those. So I do like that aspect of being able to do it.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I randomly, back on the detection side, I remember maybe it was just more mass deleting. Like how would you know, like on EDR, but I think it was always mass delete you would see like 500 files get deleted, but that's not a zip in them. You wouldn't know what's in the zip, I don't think. Yeah,
or even like ransomware, like creates, modifies, right? Like a large plethora. Is like, I know everybody, everybody wants to detect the ransomware execution. Like if you're detecting the file encryption, it's too late. Like, sure, you could do that, but your time is probably better vested in everything leading up to that precursor, right? There's so much that occurs, even no matter, you look at reports where it's like, oh, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours from 0 to encryption. Like, yeah, but look at everything they did. Look at all the different things they had to do in order to get there. Like, there's so much opportunity. But again, like it's cat and mouse. It's whack-a-mole in some cases, unfortunately, for some of these. Like some techniques are easier to go after from a detection and prevention standpoint. Others are a little bit more difficult, especially when you have to talk about contextual analysis. Every org is different. So things like data exfil, like I could go create something for one, but it may not work or even be remotely usable in another environment. Like, perfect example, RC clone to Mega. Egress filtering, host-based proxies, those are gold mines right now. If you can limit what just goes out the door, you're already off at a better point, right? Like think of NEC2. What does it require? network connectivity. If you can filter and prevent egress, like congrats, you're going to have a better chance of trying to cut these off earlier.
Yep. Yeah, our clone is pretty impressive. Yeah, I found this report. I'll drop it it's from this year. But yeah, this one was fresh, and it has our clone. And if you haven't messed with our clone before, that's actually pretty neat. I don't know if they give the config file or a screenshot of it. Yeah, look at how they're copying. It's pretty sweet. This is from the backup server, grabbing everything. And then, yeah, within the config file, there's usually like user pass. You can specify, I'm pretty sure you can specify like you were mentioning, like reducing it down to like 2 gig file sizes at a time. Yeah, multi-thread streams. Like this is like, banded out the bank right here. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
As one always says, is go read the docs. Like read the docs to better understand how the thing works, and then you can hopefully identify potential caveats with either detection, or analytics of how you potentially go about it.
It's weird.
If only there was a way to detect going out the door at the network level. If only there was something available to us. That's the $1 billion industry right there.
Yeah. If you're going to RSA next week, is data exfil still a super hot topic?
Managed data exfiltration?
Yeah. MDE. That's good. Oh,
I gotta go buy that real quick. You gotta trademark that before somebody steals it.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, what else? External.
I think those are the 3 ones. Obviously, DLL side-loading, very relevant, very still active. I think the one Mandiant report is probably 11 years old at this point. The white paper that came out, I'm drawing a blank on her name, so apologies for forgetting. But in the blog link I posted earlier, there is a reference to that. The PDF is actually taken down, but you can take that link and put it in the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, and it still has a reference to that, so you can pull it down. Great white paper, as well as the blog itself. I mean, you look at it, there's still binaries that we touched on, DISM core, DLL, etc., on top of the net NPL Wiz, right? We're talking probably 5-6 years in the blog, or a couple years ago, but also the PDF touches on things that are still relevant to today. But these micro emulation plans are just phenomenal. It's really good. Yeah, the name pipes. There's 6 or 7 atomic tests for name pipes now, which is fantastic. And some of them, and they actually, because they emulate various like name pipes, so they'll actually set up pipes, send data over it, so you can actually do like network testing as well, which is pretty slick. And they also do like name piping that are similar to like Cobalt Strikes, but again, those are just names. You can change those. That's not anything super rocket sciencey, but it's great again if you're testing. But I mean, how many times have we seen people just leave defaults? Yeah. It's brittle, but guess what? It works. You catch so much stuff. I mean, look at what was the one where they were downloading, where they already peed into the box and they went straight to GitHub and downloaded Mimikatz as is to run it. What was that breach? It was recent, probably last year. Drawing a blank.
Which one? Say it again.
The Lapsus. I forgot who. Where the
NVIDIA.
And they downloaded, Mimikatz right from the GitHub repo. No change. Just executed. Like, say what you will about brittle or basic detections, but they work. Like that wasn't APT level either. Yep.
Yeah, all of these Cobalt Strike ones. Yeah. It's it's nice that there's more in-depth tools like this. Because even when like 2 years ago, a year ago, attempting to do pipe testing like this was a little bit trickier, building custom tools and or like compiling code. And like as a defender, like being able to just go and grab these from MITRE like this definitely makes that barrier to entry a lot easier. And obviously modifying it and being able to do, different pipe names, which is very handy for just goofing off and testing things. So you don't have to get Cobalt Strike, a backdoored version, or you don't have to go and like spin up Sliver and go crazy and figure all these things out. Like at least you can grab a simple tool and actually get to go test now. And that's the beauty of Atomic and being able to use these things quick. Testing and validation.
But consistently too, right? I think that's the power of not just the simplicity, but the continuous execution, right? Think about tuning of your detectors and analytics. Obviously, regression is a real thing. Being able to, you make a change that should be in the pipeline of like validating that analytics and detectors still work. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody freaks out when a new C2 or OST tool drops, and like, why? I don't think I've seen anything new from like, you think of all the lateral movement techniques that are incorporated to like most open source. I don't think I've seen anything new or interesting that wouldn't be caught by standard or basic detectors from a lateral movement standpoint. Now I know Nighthawk is doing some interesting things. Obviously I don't have my hands on that, so I can't go prove it. But that's probably the more recent one that's not open source, but figure it out. You can make it work.
But Paul, are you detecting the tool or the technique or the behavior?
Why not both? All three?
Yeah. Yep.
We could go unhinged. We'll have to have an Atomic after dark and just go fully unhinged on that whole topic. Because where's Justin? I bet he'd have a blast with that one too.
Oh yeah, it's true though, right? Like it's that's into the topics of like what the Jared and Johnny dig into, right? Is very much great. That. Yeah, the fidelity funnel fidelity and obviously
capability abstractions.
Yep. But yeah, I don't think it's wrong. If you're a defender out there writing content brittle and precise in the middle, don't think you're doing anything wrong. You are, you're obviously defending either your org or multiple orgs, and you got to find the evils.
I would say it's only wrong if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, how do you
know? Are you testing it?
Exactly.
Is the right question. Yes.
You can write analytics and detectors all day, but if you can't prove they work, what good are they? Hopes and dreams don't float in the world of defending an enterprise. You got to have the data to back it up. You got to have the proof.
God, that was a good tweet.
I hope somebody's writing these down. I've been spitting a lot of good hot takes this week on like things, and I just hope people have been writing them down because I will never remember them. One good one that came up was Home Alone. We should be treating what Kevin McAllister did when Harry and Marv are trying to break into the house is what we should be doing for enterprises. Home Alone is engineering hostility. Thank you, Huntress, for that concept. Detection, prevention, deception. You got to have it all.
Yep. Yeah, you're slapping into the realm of Casey. I love it. I like that idea a lot. It's definitely kind of like the next realm of defending your org. It's funny. I've been having a lot of flashbacks to prior org stuff this week too, for some reason. But I remember at one point we had done like a Nessus scan identifying public facing web servers across the globe for our company. And we had known knowns of at least the IPs. And when we scanned, we had hit about 5,000 like ingress points into our organization. And it's just like, how do you defend that? That was like what I was just thinking about this week. I was like, how do you defend that? How did we defend that? It's a lot.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for orgs to really focus on their external footprint. I think that is one of the biggest missing gaps. We spend so much time focusing on the endpoint, but remember, if it hits the endpoint, it means there's a whole bunch of stuff that failed leading up to it. Firewalls, WAFs, email gateway, right? There's just so much things that occur, because if it's touching the endpoint, it means anything leading to that didn't do its job in some capacity, right? So gotta pay attention to the external things. And I think that's kind of an industry that be interesting to see and evolve, right? There's a lot of great tools out there, even open, like I want to say open source tools, but like publicly available things like the Shodan, TAC IQ, Path DNS, right? There's just tons of different things that you can do that, think about an adversary. How are they finding your public facing assets? If they can do it, you can do it, right? They don't have some black magic box thing that just says, oh, hey, there's an open thing, like let's go do it. Like, no, they're using available resources. So I think we also need to have some focus time on that as well, but that's a conversation for a different day because we don't have enough time.
I really want to dig into canary tokens and stuff like that and getting those deployed.
Yeah. We might know somebody who can help us with that.
Yep.
They will be at RSA. Go say hello.
That's right. They will be. I know. I wish we had a booth list of friends, but I don't.
I know some friends from Red Canary will be there. Go say hello. Friends from Thinks. I think Splunk going. I presume Splunk's going. I'd be very surprised.
Splunk's there.
Of course, Splunk will be there.
Splunk will be there. Everyone will be there.
Not
except
everybody.
You and me. Except us. It's a RSA pity party.
We'll do like a random stream during RSA next week, and we'll just spin up a thing and come hang out for all the non-RSA nerds.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. We can all fit in.
It's great to spin up a thing. Make it more of a less structured, free for all. Have fun.
Yep.
Let's bank on that.
We could do like a RSA bingo card, and you can go hunt through Twitter and find the buzzwords and start filling it in.
Top tier. Like look for the hot takes.
Yeah, because it's going to be happening. So, all right, we need an RSA bingo card for remote RSA participants, and you got to go find everything that's being dropped.
The RSA hot takes bingo card. Who's stopping Mimikatz this year?
Yes. Who's catching all the Cobalt strikes?
Cobalt strikes are down, boys. Let's go.
I know. Yep. Who's up? What's going to be next? We prevent, what's the next one? We prevent Nighthawk. Let's see that one. I want that one.
I feel like that would like to have a word on that one.
Yes. We're going to need you to take that sign down, sir.
Oh, good times.
We take down the Hawks.
We'll go rogue on that.
I think that'd be cool. Yeah. There's probably like a simple bingo card generator.
I'm sure somebody on the industry.
Oh, yeah.
One.
We got it. We're good.
All right.
I'm going to make it extra cheesy too. So, yeah.
Oh, phenomenal. I'm in.
Next week, RSA.
Let's go. Thanks for joining us. Hope you all had fun.
Yep. Thank you.
Bad the lab is broken. I got to go reboot some servers now, and maybe I have internet when I'm done with it. Who knows? We'll find out.
I'll see you on the next one. Happy Atomics on a Friday.
Catch y'all later. That's all, folks.